So it just started the recording. Um, so basically RPNow, it's just a shell around your exam in Moodle. Um,
Okay.
so you'll create your exam in Moodle. So I have one here that I created, RPNow test. And then you're gonna go into our app. Um, your administrator would be able to tell you where it is in the course. You may have to add it. Ours is in this first module here. But it's going to look very similar to this. It should say something like RPNow or register my RPNow exams. If you can't find it, you should reach out to the administrator. They should be able to tell you where to go.
Okay. That looks like the rest of the class chiming into the exam there.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Are you able to see my screen?
Uh, no, I think this is her screen. Yeah, I think we're watching at your screen.
Yes, it should say professional services on it and it's green.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So I just started the trading, but I literally just started, so I can just say what I said again. I did record it. So you are being recorded right now. Um, so basically what I said was RPNow is just a shell outside of your exam that we use to proctor the exams. Um, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna make your exam in Moodle. This is our Moodle. It should look somewhat similar to yours. The app is gonna look the exact same. Um, so I created this exam RPNow test. And then you're going to find your app. It should look similar to this. It should say something like register my RPNow exams. You might have to add it into the course. If you have any questions about where it's located, I would reach out to your administrator for that because they're going to be able to tell you how to get it into the course. You're going to click on the app. Right now, mine says I have no registered exams. The first time you load it, it's going to tell you just to authorize the app, and then it should take you to a page similar to this. Um,
When you say app, are you assuming that everybody uses some kind of tablet or something? Because if I'm using my laptop,
sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
when you say an app, it looks like you are assuming everybody is using some kind of tablet, like iPad or Android device or something.
Everyone should be using the RPNow installation in Moodle. So it should be in your course. You might have to add it into the course. If you have any questions about adding it, you're going to have to reach out to your Moodle administrator.
I think I think it would be good for you to establish the ground rules here. From where you are starting, it's confusing. So you are assuming at the ground level, all the faculty have installed this app and set it up in their Moodle system. Is that correct?
I have to. I don't have access to Moodle to actually put the app in the courses for you.
So how many faculty has done that? This is our first time we are trying, so nobody is aware.
In ours, it was relatively easy to add. If it's not already there, you just click add an activity, pick external tool, and you should be able to pick it from a list. It should be called something like register my RPNow exams or RPNow. So it should be fairly simple to add. It's just, unfortunately, I can't add it into the course for you because I don't have access.
Just give us a second before I do that.
But it should look similar to this.
be on Google Mail?
Yes, that would.
And if it helps, I can send instructions on how we add it into our Moodle.
Yeah, go ahead and do. No.
Hello?
Yes, good morning. Yeah, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and you could send us instructions.
Yes,
Send the
do
instructions.
that.
Thank you.
Once the app is added, it might already be in your courses. I'm not sure if it was already added. And your exams created. You're just gonna open up the app. And you should have a main page that looks something like this when you first start. The first time you open it, it is going to have you authorize the app. It's going to ask you if you're going to want to make a profile. You don't have to do that initially, and I'm going to go through what a profile is. But this first page is basically asking you if you want to register any exams.
When I logged into my Moodle, I'm trying to click on this add external resources. And where do I see this RPNow?
Um,
Yeah,
ours looks like this.
yeah,
You can call it register my RP now exams, something like that. And I have it here as a pre-configured tool. It might be different in your Moodle, but it should be somewhat similar.
yeah, I see RPNow faculty exam.
That would be it. So you just choose that, and it should let you add it to the course. So you can click save and display or save and return to the course.
But you have to have the app has to be integrated into Moodle for it to work. You can't have it like separately on your desktop or something like that. Is that correct?
Correct. It has to be in Moodle.
Okay.
It's, when you say which one, excuse me. Yeah, where the pre-configured tools, which ones do we have to choose? Exams registration?
It should say RPNow on it. Something similar to RPNow exam registration or RPNow
Yeah, we have three
register
there.
RP.
Yeah, we have one say RPNow faculty exam registration. That's the one.
It should be.
Okay, thank you.
And then simply say save and return to the course.
Yeah.
So once you've got it in your course and you've got your exam created, you're gonna click this register RP now exams button, this green button here. It's also up here under exams. It'll say register new exam.
The first four, the last four.
And it's gonna ask you if you want to register it as a proctored exam or a practice exam. Your proctored exams are your real exams, so your midterms, your finals. Practice exams are free. They are recorded, but we don't review them. They're to get students acclimated to the software before they go to take their real exam, and we highly recommend them. It just makes the students have more ease when they're going to take their real exam because they already know what they're doing. It mimics the proctored exam, but we don't review it, so it's free. So I'm going to go ahead and click proctored exam. So here it's going to have me enter the name of my exam. I'm going to enter it exactly as it is in Moodle. So whatever you call your exam in Moodle is what you're going to put here. The password. The exams do need to be password protected, and they do need to have start and end dates. The password is what ensures that students have to use RPNow to take the exam. Do not give the password to the students, and I'll show you why in a little while. But essentially, when they go through the software auto-populates the password for them. Without the software, they don't have a way to get into the exam because they don't know the password. So I'm gonna name this burgers because it's right around lunchtime. Um, that password needs to match what the password is in Moodle. So whatever you put as the password on your exam when you were creating it, it needs to be the same here. Exam duration. This is how long we're recording the students. So if you put 60 minutes here and the student's in there for 65 minutes, we don't kick the student out. We'll ask them if they need more time. This is just to try to stop the student from accidentally leaving the software going in, and then we just record them for 3 hours when we don't need to be. Um, it'll ask them if they're done with their exam. If they say no, it resets the clock, so they'll be given more time.
Okay, another quick question. So you are assuming that all the faculty have already created one exam which is there on Moodle, correct?
Did you say I'm assuming that the faculty have already created the exam?
Correct.
Yes. We do not do the exam creation, and we actually can't see any of the settings or questions inside of Moodle. Only on the student's actual screen can we see them. RPNow is it's kind of a shell outside of Moodle, so we can't actually access Moodle. Um, but you're telling us here what the exam name is and when it takes place.
This password, what we put, you are telling we should not share with the students. So how do the students access?
Correct. So do not give the password to the students. They won't need it. Our software, there's a button in our software which automatically enters it. And I will show that part. I was planning on going through the student side of the process as well. Did you have any other questions? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Site secured because at the top of your screen is saying not secure.
Oh, that's just my Chrome. My Chrome does not recognize our internal Moodle. That has nothing to do with the app. It's just like my computer settings. Um, Number of students. Um, this is mostly for resource planning. So if you put in that you have 5 students going to take the exam and 10 go in and actually take it, we don't cut anyone off. This number is for resource planning for our video review team. So they can kind of plan ahead so they know how many reviewers they're going to need to make sure that the reports are done in a timely manner. The profile. This is basically the rules for the exam. By default, we assume it's a closed book exam, so it's just the student and their computer. But we know that some instructors like to allow different programs or notes or books during the exam. So that's where you would specify that. I'm going to go through that process in a minute. You actually create a profile and then attach it to the exam. So we have several here that you can pick here that have already been created. But you'd essentially create a profile and link it to the exam. Um, so start and end dates. So I'm gonna do this is starting today at noon, closing tomorrow at noon. This is so that our software knows when to keep the exam open for. And actually, if a student tries to log into RPNow before the start time, they won't show, the exam won't show up. So this is pretty important. I'm gonna go ahead and submit. And once the exam is submitted, it's registered. Once you have a registered exam, your main registration page is gonna look more like this. So if it has a green lock next to it, it's proctored. A blue lock means practice. A star means it's going on right now. You can see here, this is your password, these are your start and end dates. We have a button here where you can click to edit the settings. So say you just realize that you put the wrong start and end date in, or you put the wrong password, you can go ahead and change that here, and then click update. If you make any changes to your exam start and dates or the password after you've already registered the exam, so if say you go and you change something in Moodle, you do have to remember to go and change it in here. And you also have the option to, if you made if you accidentally registered an exam, you could go ahead and just close it here using that close button. All of your closed exams are here under this view recently closed tab. So you can actually go back in and re-register and reopen exams if you needed to. Did you have any questions about the exam registration piece before I move on to profiles?
Exam registration what?
The exam registration piece. So registering the exam, did you have any questions about that?
I was just wondering, do the exams have to be created in Moodle, or can you import them from an external file?
So when you say created in Moodle, are you saying are you trying to give an exam in a third-party system? Or is this purely about adding the exam into Moodle?
I'm not sure, so let me withdraw the question. I'll have to sort that out on my own.
So we can actually you can register the exam here. So if you wanted to give an exam that was in like Pearson or my math lab,
Right?
you can let us know and we can put the URL in our system so that students can choose it. So when they're going through the exam process, it'll say, do you want to go to Moodle or do you want to go to Cengage? If they choose Cengage, they go to Cengage. But you could still register it here. You would just put the Cengage information instead of the Moodle information. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
No problem. As far as the actual exam questions in Moodle, I don't really know a lot about that piece. We don't really handle exam creation.
Sure.
So that would have to go to probably your Moodle administrator.
Thank you.
No problem. Did you have any other questions?
I think we're ready to move on.
All right. So moving on to profiles. To create a profile, we click this button here that says create new profile. We like to make it easy. So you're gonna name the profile anything that makes it so that you know what it is. So if you had a grouping of math exams that all use the same profile, you could call it math calculator profile, and then you would know it was the one that allows calculators and you could attach it to all of your exams. If you wanted to make it for a specific exam, so I had just made RPNow test, you would call it RPNow test. And then I will know that that's the RPNow test profile. Profile availability. This is actually a relatively new picture that we just added. So you can just make the profile available to you in this course and others if they're faculty in the course. Or you can click this button here, and that profile will follow your user to any course that you're in. So you'd be able to add it into any course using RPNow. Applications. So these are any processes that you would like to be allowed. By default, we block them. So word processors includes like Notepad, things like that. If a student goes right now and tries to open Word, it's going to tell them they can't open it. It actually blocks them from opening it. So if you click here, it allows them. You can do Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, websites. You can say students can use any website, or you can pick a specific website. You would have to put the website here. I will say that if you choose that they're allowed to do a specific website, it does allow them to go to any website. Because there's no way for us to block the browser enough to make it so that they can only go to a specific website. But the review team is looking at this, and if you put dictionary.com here and they're going to Wikipedia and looking up all the answers, they're going to get flagged by our review team. So this is for our review team, so they know where they're allowed to go. Notes, you can allow notes, pen and paper, calculator. Here you can say if you want them to be able to use the calculator on their computer or a physical calculator. Under physical calculator, if you had a specific type of calculator that you wanted them to be able to use, you can put that here. Textbook, you can do hard copy or electronic. Under electronic, you can say if you want it to be a desktop version or on a tablet or e-reader. You can also put the name here. It's optional. I will say if they're using a tablet, we might not be able to see what they're looking at. It's just an FYI. Just because we're only recording their desktop and their webcam, so you can allow others in the room. That's usually if somebody needs assistance. Permitted absences. These are usually for longer exams. So say you have a 4-hour exam and you want to give the students a 5-minute bathroom break, you would put that here. And then special instructions. That's anything else that you allow on your exam that is not up here. That you think our review team needs to know. Say you want them to show paper to the camera front and back. Our review team is going to be looking for them to show their paper to the camera, and if they don't, they're going to flag it. The students cannot see these rules. Only our review team can see them. So this is specifically for our review team so they know how to flag the exams. I'm going to click create profile. Oh. And then here, it's taken me to this page, manage profiles. So you can see all of your profiles in the course and the ones that are available for just you. So you can see here that says this one's available in the course and to the user. Here I can make edits to the profile. I can just, that's the orange one. I can just view the details. I can actually disable the profile, which is the same as deleting it. It says disable because if it's actually attached to an exam, it doesn't delete it and it'll give you a notification and it won't delete it until that exam has ended. have any questions on the profiles before I move on to reviewing the reports? I'm switching over to can you guys see my screen still? It should say view by student on it.
Review reports, view by student.
Yeah, I moved into our internal Canvas. The app looks the same in Canvas. The only reason I did that was because we don't have any examples of exam reports in our Moodle right now. And I wanted to be able to show you one. So the review reports, here, you can view by exam, view by student, and view all unread. All unread is just any reports that you haven't looked at yet.
All I'm getting is a gray screen.
It's just a gray screen.
I was worried about that because WebEx was doing something weird where it was having me choose specific which browser I had open. Here, hold on 1 second. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why WebEx did that. It used to just share your screen, and now it's having me pick if I have two browsers open. I have to pick which browser. It's weird. Um. So anyway, here's what I was saying. So this is our Canvas. I went into Canvas because we didn't have any reports in our Moodle currently. But it looks the exact same as you can see. You're gonna click Review Reports. You have the option to view by exam. So this will show you any exams with reviews either in processing, which means we're working on them, or completed. You can view by student, so it'll show you all the student records. It shows suspicious first by default, but you can change it to show all, clean, suspicious, rules violation, or not reviewed. It shows suspicious first because those are what we would consider a major violation, so those are the ones that you're going to care about the most. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a review so you can see that. You click on a student's report. You can see the exam name, when they took the exam, the exam policy, so those are the rules that you had set for the exam. And here it'll show if they have any web camera violations or desktop violations. It lists them here. And then you can click view video to go ahead and view the video. It does have a side-by-side webcam and desktop view. So when you click play here and you move around, it's gonna move it to that same spot in the desktop view. So I wanted to go back and talk about the different flags on the reports. So this one was marked suspicious. Suspicious is we saw something that we could construe as cheating. So something they definitely shouldn't have been doing. So we would consider that a major violation. Those are the ones you're going to want to pay attention to the most. Rules violation. That's something that the student shouldn't be doing, but it's not something that necessarily broke the integrity of the the exam. We would consider that a minor violation. So that's something like listening to music in the background, or your little brother comes in the room and starts talking to you about what you want for dinner. They shouldn't have been doing it, but it's not necessarily cheating. We do still flag it. This is for basically for behavior modification. So what happens is the student gets an email saying, "Hey, we saw you did this on your exam. Just don't do it on your next exam." And it tends to cut down on those type of violations in future exams. And clean means the student went in, they took their exam, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. We didn't notice anything weird with it. So it's a side by side. If you click here, you can see all of the violations. They were also listed here. You can get to the actual violation in the video by either clicking the flag here or on the actual report. And it shows you rules violation did not show allowed materials to camera. Suspicious using the telephone. And you can see that it's side by side, so you can see what she's doing here on the webcam and on the desktop. Did you have any questions about the exam reports or the reviewing piece?
Yes, let me ask you, faculty, what would be the first report, or the report more important to check? Because what is more useful for them based on other, what other, the others do?
I think most people would go in and filter. So under here where it says you can go by exam and do it by exam and filter. You can filter by the suspicious ones first, I would say. 'Cause those are going to be your major violations. So those are going to be the ones that you're going to care the most about. Rules violation, there aren't any in here, but rules
Oh,
violation are going to be your minor. The overall record status is based on the highest level of violation that it found. So you can have rules violation and suspicious comments on there, but the record itself is going to be marked suspicious if there's a suspicious comment on there.
okay, because let me ask you, that's, I'm thinking in terms of a faculty, me having 30 or 40 students online and having to go through, let's say if I have 20% of them that are suspicious,
Mhm.
it kind of demand a lot of time to having to go through and look at, the recordings. So is there a report that I can just look at it and say, this student really needs, to either, be,
So you can just look at this main report here.
but you have to do it is student by student. So if there is, I mean, can this on your side have this system come out with some sort of metrics or analytics that can help
No,
me?
I know it's something that's being looked into for a future product, but it doesn't exist currently.
Okay. So what you're saying basically, let me just from the perspective of the faculty, I have 30 students online, and I have maybe 20% of those suspicious. For
I
faculty
would
to
hope
be
it's less.
for faculty to be able to determine what sort of decision he makes regarding those students that are suspicious, he basically have to go one by one. Is that correct?
I mean, you'd only have to click on the suspicious, and you
I
can
mean, but if
you
you
can see here what the actual if it's red, you need to click on it. So of these, you would only need to click on the red. It looks like a lot of violations. That's because this is our internal canvas. So we kind of made these videos, these are employees, have a lot of violations on it. My guess is your students are going to have way less violations on them. Um,
but it's
we designed it so that you could click on these little comments and go straight to that part of the video. So you don't have to sit here and watch a 30-minute video.
No, I understand, but but is it true that basically you as a faculty has to review any number of violations or suspicious students that you have? You really want to make a decision regarding what to do next.
Yes, you would have to do that. And we
Okay,
can't make
that's
that call for the school either. So after we flag something, we don't notify the student. It goes to the instructor and it has to be taken up from there because we won't know what your academic policy is. So it kind of has to go through the
exactly,
instructor.
yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Now, let me ask you, well, you're probably going to take us through what the student perspective is.
Mhm.
What did they get out of the exam? Because they're probably going to get the same kind of reporting, yeah. They will be notified right away after they finish the exam that they have, they are being on a suspicion list, I guess, or they don't know.
They don't know. And this is by design. This is because we need it to go to the instructor to make that determination before the student gets notified of anything. It has to go through whatever your school's academic process is, and every school is different, so we don't make any assumptions. We just report what we see.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. But I am going to go through the student side so you can kind of get a better idea of what they're seeing. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, let me ask you one more thing. For how long does the faculty have access to the particular reports, or is that as long as
I believe it's 3 months.
3 months?
3 months.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the student side. So this is for our internal Moodle. I will send over an email with the link that your students go to. But it is, and I'll put it in the chat here too. That's where your students would go to download the software. It should look very similar to this page. It's just this is organization specific. So downloading this software brings them to all the exams for only your organization. That's why they have to go to a different page. And there is a video on the main page that walks through how to take an exam. So if the student gets stuck, they can play this video here. I did also send over, we have something called the Test Taker University. It's basically a knowledge base site for students. So it walks through how to take an exam, how to insert the exam password, how to contact support, um, the system requirements, things like that. So they're gonna click download software. It's gonna download for them. You guys can still see this, right? Okay. Can you still see it?
No, we cannot see it now.
Okay. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So it's gonna run the software and it's gonna take them to this main page. It's asking to choose the camera and microphone. That's only because I'm on a headset, so I have two microphones, my computer microphone and my headset microphone. So it's gonna ask which one I want to use. For most of your students, they're probably only gonna have one. I'm gonna choose that. And it's gonna do a microphone check. And it's not gonna let them proceed if they don't have a microphone attached to their computer. It's also performing a bandwidth check in the background.
Why is it that they have to have a microphone? I understand why they have to have a camera, of course, because that's part of the surveillance. But what's the point of the microphone?
So we can hear the audio. So if somebody comes in and starts talking to them about an
Okay.
exam, or if they make a phone call and they're
Yep.
if someone giving them answers, we can hear.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna click OK. If they fail the microphone check, it's gonna give them basically a list of ways that they can try to fix their microphone. They can also click this contact support button here in the software. Um, it's 24-hour support. We do have a phone number. I believe I already provided that to you guys, but I will again if you want that. It's 24-hour support. So if they're taking their exam at 2 in the morning, they should still be able to get help. So it's gonna have them choose their course and exam. So ours is professional services. And go ahead and click this exam. So it's gonna have them enter their name, email, and phone number. The phone number is for support, so in case support has to contact them back, they don't have to enter their phone number, but it's helpful to our support team if they need to contact them for any reason. I'm gonna click next. And it's going to show them the pre-exam advisory. So this lets them know we're recording your desktop, your webcam, and your microphone, and that you have to provide a copy of your ID. And then go ahead and click next. So this is where it's going to check. Do you remember earlier I said that it doesn't let them open programs during the exam? So if they have Word open or anything like that, it's going to tell them no. This is a screen where if I had anything that was blocked open, so Word, Excel, anything like that, it's going to tell me I have to close it before I start the exam. I just don't have anything open that we're blocking right now. Click next. And here it's going to ask you to show your photo ID. I forgot to bring my ID home. I have like a little PSI security one. So I'm just going to hold up this coaster so you can kind of get the idea. They would make sure it's clear, legible, that you can see it, see their name. Click that box. If you need to retake it for any reason, they have the option to do so by clicking here. It's just going to bring up that same screen again. And then they'll confirm their ID photo. Next, it's going to ask them to perform a room scan. So they're going to click this start room scan. I'm not going to talk during the room scan because it does record the audio. And it's just going to have them pan their area to make sure that they don't have any cheating materials around their desk or on the floor. It's extra security. So I'm going to click start room scan. And I'm going to pan my area. I am at home today, so there's my dog. They're just going to pan around their desk area. So you can see I have a book on the desk. They'll probably do a better job than I just did. So So they do have to watch the entire room scan back before they can proceed. And again, if they don't think they did a good job with the room scan, they can click this rescan button from the room scan. And then they're going to take user photos. So this is basically a selfie photo to compare with the ID. So we can make sure that the right person is taking the exam. So I'll click it, and it's 1, 2, 3. And again, they can retake this if they're making some sort of goofy face or something. And then it's going to tell them they have 10 minutes to start their exam. This is just to kind of keep them from clicking that they want to start the exam and then just kind of like going and studying for a while and not actually going into the exam. So I had mentioned earlier that you could enter a second URL. This is an example. So here, if you had a second URL, it would say, do you want to go to Pearson or Cengage or something like that? I'm gonna go to Moodle.
Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yes, going back to the student registration,
Mhm.
you do that only once, yeah? I mean, students, like, let's say that they do it at the beginning of the semester, and then is there a way that, if they're taking, let's say, 2 or 3 exams,
They
the
have
second,
um they don't have to download the software each time. They will have like a desktop icon on their computer that they can just open, but they do have to choose the course and the exam and enter their name and information each time.
and then as far as the picture and all of that, everything will be the same.
They would have to do that each time.
So each time they're gonna take an exam, they have to pretty much do the scanning.
Yeah, and so we call this their interview process, and this is basically just to make sure that the right person is going in to take the exam so that they're not having like their friend Joe come in and take the exam for them.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
So they're gonna log into Moodle. They're gonna go to their course. I was using the professional services course. And I chose a different exam than the one I registered earlier. So they're gonna go to their exam. I had chosen the English final. And this is the password piece. So it's gonna ask them for the password, and they're not gonna know what it is. So what they're gonna do is click this insert exam password button right here, and it's gonna enter it for them. But they can't see what it is. And then they'll click start, and I think it's incorrect for some reason, but in their case, it will let them into the exam. I probably chose the wrong exam when I was going through. Um, does that kind of make sense? Did you have any questions on that piece?
So, regarding giving during the exam, 2 or 3 minutes, you don't have much control what exactly the time the exam is taking.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing.
As a the student has the test materials in his workflow, he looks at the formula or this thing or the answer.
Um,
What do you do?
I'm sorry, you're very faint. I heard the student.
No, no.
Yeah, we,
During the exam, if the student is allowed to leave for whatever bathroom break or something, and he or she goes out for 3 to 5 minutes, and when they are in outside of the room, this is a controlled environment. What exactly they do outside of that room is not being monitored, right?
I still not getting the question.
I think he's saying that what happened is the student has to, for some reason, has to step out of the exam.
Oh, okay. Um, so is this a planned absence or so their few team is going to flag that. They're going to say, the student left the exam. They're going to flag that suspicious. Um, if they leave the software running. If they close out the software and restart their exam, they'd have to basically start over as a new attempt. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
It wouldn't have them pay a second time, but it's counted as a new attempt in our system, because essentially they're trying the exam again.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because we even with doing face-to-face examination, the students sometimes say, I need to go to the bathroom, so can I go? So
Yeah.
I guess, 2-hour exam, you definitely gonna have some students say, I need to step out. So at that time, I guess is there is no way, I guess, like you said, it's gonna be suspicious, and then probably the exam would be terminated right away.
The other thing is, if you were giving a longer exam and you knew students were going to need a break, and I had kind of gone over this in the exam rule profile, there's uh, a space on there where you can click the button and say how long of a break you want to give them. So if you want to give them 1 5-minute break,
Okay.
you can put that there, and the reviewer is going to know they get a 5-minute break, and they're not going to flag them. Does that make sense?
Okay. Thank you. I don't know. That's what Dr. Chirupati was thinking about.
No problem.
That's what I understood from the question.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't able to hear. I don't know why the audio was very faint for me for some reason. Were there any other questions?
Class.
Because we don't have more questions. I think some faculty have exams, so
Oh, okay.
have a class at 12:30.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.